Hi, this is Sheena Alexandra, and today we are with Richard Lear, Chairman of Greenwave and founder for Search for the Cause. Rich, you've done extensive research in technology and health. Can we start with your journey and how you began on this path for searching for the cause?
Absolutely. So about 3 years ago, I and a colleague, we had the big idea to try to find out which diseases were growing fastest in the U.S. We noticed a lot of our friends were having sleep issues. Others were having depression issues. It seems like ADD and autism were kind of growing dramatically with children that we knew. And we said, hey, let's see what's really happened, because it seems like something's changed. And so we looked at 190 diseases and we boiled it down to the fastest, the 36 that had at least doubled in a 25-year period. Mm-hmm. So the period we took was 1990 through 2015. And in that period, all 36 more than doubled, 20 more than tripled, and we had 16 that quadrupled. And so, we were stunned because we had no idea that there was this level of disease. And these are things like Alzheimer's, autism, diabetes, big ones we know about. And then there was other ones that were new: COPD, erectile dysfunction, multiple sclerosis, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome. Most of us had never heard of these in the 80s or 90s, and suddenly they're huge diseases and costing the U.S. quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So we next thought, well, geez, we now know that all these diseases are growing fast. How big are they? So we quantified the size. And when you add them all together and you look at, you look at the American population, you had 700 million instances of these 36 diseases in a population of 322 million. That's about 2.1, 2.2 per person. Mm-hmm. With a little math, we calculated that about 170 million Americans are suffering from at least one. Wow. That's more than 50% of the population. Mm-hmm. Not good. So we were stymied by the size, and obviously people knew that people were getting sick, but not to this extent. Mm-hmm. To us, it looks like a health crisis, but I haven't heard about it. Mm-hmm. So the next thing we did is say, well, how much is it going to cost us? Or how much is it costing? And we calculated that we took three things. We looked at the cost of the disease in terms of medical costs. We looked at lost productivity. We were able to get stats. All these are government stats we got. Mm-hmm. And then we were able to look at the small research cost, because it's very small compared to the bigger. Mm-hmm. 2.7 trillion. Wow. This is per year. Every year, it's probably 3 trillion now with inflation. But our paper closed in 2015. The paper was published in 2016 on ResearchGate, and we've updated it, and we'll have another update beginning in 2019. So it's staggering. So when I saw this, I started to try to find out what was going on and why didn't we know about this. And so one of the things that I did is I researched and I saw other people writing about the growth of disease, and then I saw other people throwing out ideas of what's causing all this disease. Mm-hmm. So we said, let's try to find out what's in common. Mm-hmm. And in looking at what's in common, we start with chronic inflammation. And we found that chronic inflammation hooked up with all 36. And that doesn't really surprise anyone, because I think most doctors know and most people know chronic inflammation is a big factor. The next thing we looked at is free radicals. And for those who don't know what free radicals are, this is called oxidative stress in the science world, but it's where the oxygen in your body starts doing damage to important things like your healthy fats and your proteins, and breaks DNA. It causes a lot of havoc. So oxidative stress is a bad thing, and this is why we take antioxidants. Mm-hmm. We thought that might connect. It did, not with just 1 or 2 or 3, but all 36. Mm-hmm. Now we hit 2 factors. Next, we heard about mitochondrial dysfunction. So mitochondrial dysfunction is where every cell has a power pack, a little factory that makes energy. It's called the mitochondria. And it's creating the energy to think, the energy for your heart, the energy for your body, the energy for the cells in your body to your organs. So what would happen if that didn't work well? We call it dysfunction. And guess what? All 36 lined up again. We continued and found 3 more factors. And then we found the crowning, achievement. And that was a single molecule is connected with all 36 diseases and all 6 biofactors of those 36 diseases. what are the chances? So the National Institutes of Health in 2008 pointed to this molecule. They call it peroxynitrite. Most of us can't pronounce that, so we're going to call it P. So this molecule P is devastating to the body. And the NIH scientists were able to connect it with 60 diseases, chronic diseases, including cancers and heart disease and things like that. And they were able to connect it with over 100 biological effects, things that happen in the body, bad things. Like you can't make dopamine.
Wow.
Or you can't make serotonin, which if you take those two things out, it pretty much defines our humanity or not humanity. So, but on and on. It destroys proteins, it destroys the DNA, it creates havoc. So peroxynitrite, or P, looked to be the heart of this. And the paper that I wrote was about the root cause and the dramatic rise of chronic disease. And it's pointed to peroxynitrite as a sort of core factor, but all 7 factors today we call P factor. So P factor is something that we saw in the science. We connect the dots. We didn't create this, but we named it P factor so that people could understand it's a system. There's a system of disease, the precursor to all these diseases. It doesn't tell you that you'll get autism or Alzheimer's or diabetes or stroke, but it tells you that your body is in that condition now that you're liable to get something bad. And so this was really amazing to us, because what we understood was that there was a biological mechanism that was kind of laying out there in the science, ready to be grabbed and have something done with it. After we discovered the peroxynitrite connection, the P connection, and we saw that there was a factor surrounding it, I went and called Palpatcher at NIH, and he was kind enough to spend time and talk. And the question I asked him was like, geez, why don't we know about peroxynitrite? I mean, this is a nasty molecule. It's destructive in the body. It's connected to all this disease. And he said, well, the pharmaceutical industry knew about it, and they thought they would try to create a drug. And they were unable to create a clean drug, a drug that didn't have side effects or something. And therefore, they gave up on it back in 2008, 9, something like that. And so we don't know. And I said, well, geez, we don't know? The public should know, the Congress should know if there's really a smoking gun. And then I said to him, wait a second. If I write a paper that peroxynitrite is a smoking gun to chronic disease, would that be hyperbole? In a second, he says, absolutely not. So I got the go-ahead in my mind, because I was doing the research here, and I already had all the sort of epidemiological research. We'd already gotten the numbers, crunched numbers. I said, well, here's something we can point to that's causing all this. What's amazing is these diseases do not have germs. There are no bacteria, there's no virus, there's no, anything in this, that we associate with disease that we want to cure. Instead, these diseases are caused by something in the environment, or your lifestyle, or your diet. Okay?
So it's man-made.
These are man-made diseases. Yeah. And so as a result, what we're looking at is something that can be prevented, but we can't cure them. So how do you prevent them? You need to find root causes. And that's really how the search for the cause got started. Saying, how can we organize around this? We spend a lot of money on research. Congress spends a lot of money on research. It's a $2.7 trillion problem. But people aren't looking at this. And Palpatcher said, it's not sexy science. But, well, this is humanity. And so there was a frustration there, and said, people need to know. Because I think if people know, the 170 million Americans are sick, that there really is a single molecule at the heart of this, we should be able to get a good start on fixing this. And so the search for the cause is about two things. It's looking at the biological model. It's looking at what causes the body to react and create all this chaos, which leads to disease. Is it P factor? Is it the individual parts of P factor, chronic inflammation, or how that interacts with oxidative stress, or how mitochondrial dysfunction comes into the equation? Is it that? Or is it something else? Is it something bigger? So that's the first part. How do we get scientists excited about looking at this? Because this is a cure in the sense that it's preventing. Prevention is a cure. So that was the first part. But the other part was, what are the external causes? And we posited 3 or 4 that we saw would be pretty obvious. What trends happened since 1990? One big trend is GMOs came out of nowhere. We can't say that GMOs are causing this disease, but it's new. It's a trend. We've got to look at that. The next trend is sugar. Now, sugar grew by 1990, it had gone up by 1,000% since 1970. So we're starting the 1990s, the beginning of our study, with sugar at the highest rates ever, sugar consumption. And when I talked to Pal Patcher, I said, what are some of the external causes? And he said sugar, fast food. It's a big one. And this could be high fructose corn syrup or any kinds of sugar that are packaged today. There's 22 different kinds of sugar that you find in food in the market. Mm-hmm. And all of them can create chaos in the body and create peroxynitrite, P factor, and then we can move on to the diseases. Mm-hmm. So it is sugar was number 2. Third one was a big one, kind of a surprise. It's electromagnetic fields or electrical environment. Mm-hmm. How's our electrical environment affecting us? So much has grown. Cell phones have gone from 16 million in 1990 to 1 billion wireless devices today. That's 6,000%. We have no GPS, we've got Bluetooth, we have the smart kitchen, we've got smartphones, we've got smart meters. Everything that's smart is basically a wireless device. And so we're surrounded by this electrical energy. Could this electrical energy have something to do with all this disease? And of course, we're electrical creatures, so there's a great place to start. Could it be disrupting the electrical impulses, the human internet, so to speak? So this is really what we're looking at. People can help us find these answers. So when we think about search for the cause, we have policymakers, we've got the public, we've got scientists, we've got physicians. All of us are part of the solution. And when you think, if we work together, we can find the root causes of the biological morass, the biological chaos going in the body. It's there. The clues are already in place. And then we're thinking about, what are the external factors? Is it our diet? Is it our lifestyle? Or is it our environment? Maybe all 3. What are the big things in our environment that have changed since 1990 that are leading to this? Or is it a combination of all? So search for the cause is that search. And we want to invite you. If you're interested in the search, tell us your story. Check out your predictive health score. We have a little health app that will show you where you stand in health and kind of predict your chances of getting chronic disease. We're going to advocate with Congress. You can give. There's so many things you can do. You can participate, tell your story. Give us clues. With all these clues, tapping the wisdom of crowds, search for the cause can find the key answers of today's problems in health. Thank you.